Hey, 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 happy Monday, y'all, and welcome to Monday Night Live, a time I connect with you every Monday, 7 p.m. EST, to really walk you through biblical principles that are aligned with your business, your entrepreneurial journey. Always happy and excited to be here with you. So, as you come in, y'all know what I'm going to say hello, whether you're here live, watch the replay. If as I share something that is good to you, insightful for you. I want to know. Write comments. I'm looking at the comments as I share. If you have questions while I'm live, post those as well. All right. So tonight I'm continuing in a series called Master the Marketplace, the 10 Commandments of Doing Business as God Intended. I wonder if you realize that God gifted you with purpose on purpose. He has a mission, a special assignment for you, should you choose to accept it. I always call myself Jasmine Bond, right? Y'all get that James Bond special assignment? So, my goal in these conversations is to give you, listen, I don't know if you realize that your business happens in an atmosphere. There are things that are happening around you. And if you don't pay attention to that, it will shut off, keep you from your ability to do exactly what God intended for you to do. All right. So that's the exact reason I started this series. So let me do a quick review. And by the way, again, as you come in, y'all say hello because I see people joining. So if you've missed any of these episodes, because I'm not going to go through them in detail, you guys know if you're here with me week after week, I remind you to go back and watch previous episodes on the nrjnetwork.com. That is my YouTube channel. All right. So episode number 1, which was 6 weeks ago, right? Was you must say yes to your calling. Listen, God has given each of us free will. You've got to say yes. And you guys know I give you steps in each of these series, each episode. So, one, I walk you through how to say yes and what you've got to do to say yes. The next one, number 2, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think this is the most valuable lesson that I have learned in my own entrepreneurial journey is that as soon as you get comfortable, God is going to expand your territory. And so you've got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable in order to expand. Okay. Number 3, you must be a servant leader. Jesus was a great example for us of what servant leadership look like. Okay, again, you see nrjnetwork.com is because I'm going through these fast. Number 4, you must have a singular focus. The number of people that I see or that I meet or that hire me to coach them, and they've had a business for years and their business isn't working, 9 times out of 10 is because they're doing too much. They don't have a singular focus. Number 5, you must draft a winning team. We're coming out of the Olympics. The reason why the USA men's basketball, and dare I say the USA women's basketball, who's won 8 years in a row, is because they have a winning team. You need the same thing in your business and in your life. And then last week, I did the other side of that conversation, which is never underestimate your competition. There's so many valuable lessons you can learn from competitors. I think people oftentimes get upset when they see people doing what they do. Valuable lessons to learn there. So again, go back and watch those episodes. You see it scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and rjnetwork.com is where you go. So we are now at number 7, which is you must operate in integrity. You must operate in integrity. And listen, here's the thing I think is so interesting. When I think of the word integrity, well, I looked it up. You guys know me. I looked up the definition for integrity, which means firm adherence to a code of especially moral value. Firm adherence to a code of a special moral value. As I say that, it makes me think of documentary I watched on Saturday night, documentary, movie, Lifetime movie. How many of you guys saw the Miss Cleo movie on Saturday night? If you didn't see it, spoiler alert, I'm not going to tell you what the movie's about. I'll tell you the stuff that we all kind of knew. The reason why Miss Cleo, the demise of her career is because she wasn't operating in integrity. She was acting. Now, some would say that yes, she did know how to read tarot cards, and yes, she did, but she wasn't Jamaican, and go on and on. And so you've got to understand that if your business is going to win, which is God's intention for you, which is why God gave you purpose in the first place, you've got to do it in an integral way. A great example of someone with integrity in the Bible is Solomon. Now, Solomon is known as the wealthiest man alive, but can I tell you, he never asked for wealth. Mm-mm. It was his integrity that God honored and gave him wealth. Get that? So here's Solomon's story. First Kings 3:15 through 14. Again, First Kings 3:15 through 14. I'm going to read it. Okay. Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And God said, Ask, what shall I give you? So this is God asking Solomon, what shall I give you? And Solomon said, You have shown great mercy to your servant David, my father, because he walked before you in truth and righteousness and in uprightness of heart with you. You have continued this great kindness for him, and you have given him a son, which he's talking about himself, to sit on his throne as it is this day. Now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king instead of my father. So listen. But I am a little child. I do not know how to go out or come in, and your servant is in the midst of your people, whom you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to be numbered or counted. Therefore, give to your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to judge this great people of yours? So again, what Solomon is doing is asking God, give me wisdom and discernment. I wonder if God came and asked you, "Hey, what do you want?" Would you say, "I want wisdom and discernment," or would you be asking God for money? I'm just saying. Now, this is verse 10. The speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. Then God said to him, Because you have asked this thing and have not asked long life for yourself, nor have you asked for riches for yourself, nor have asked the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern justice. Behold, I have done according to your words. See, I have given you a wise and understanding heart, so that there has not been anyone like you before you, nor shall anyone like you arise after you. And I've also given you what you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be anyone like you among the kings all your days. So if you walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your days. Now, again, we're talking about you must operate in integrity. And really, it's the power of integrity in your business. The reason this is so pivotal to your ability to be successful is integrity can shift the entire atmosphere of your ability to do the thing that God has called and crafted you to do. Okay, look at Miss Cleo. She was out of integrity. And so, what I want to do is really walk you through what integrity looks like. Okay. And what I'm going to walk you through is what I would call the six principles. Let me see, I made a banner for this. So, the six principles to operate in integrity, the six principles to operate in integrity, right? So before I do that, let me give you this Bible verse. This is our foundational Bible verse for this episode, which is Proverbs 11:3. The integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. You know, Miss Cleo was destroyed because she was living a double life. She was living this fake Miss Cleo life on TV, but then she was a whole another person at home. And you know, when you fake it, at some point, you're gonna get found out. That's why integrity is a must. Okay. So let's talk about the six principles to operate in integrity, right? Number one is trust. You know, people want to work with people they know, like, and trust. You know, when you're in a marriage and you don't trust your partner, that's not a marriage, that's not a relationship. Because you're always looking over your shoulders, you're checking people's cell phone. Who wants to live like that? Where you're always on pins and needles on an edge. So people want to do business with people they trust. So once Miss Cleo, listen, the reason why she could never get her career back going is because nobody felt like they could trust her anymore. So even if she tried to switch her whole career and did something totally different, everybody knew who she was in the whole world, just about. So no one felt like they could trust her. Word here, Psalms 15:2, which says, The one whose walk is blameless, who does what is righteous, who speaks the truth from their heart. See, David was a man after God's own heart because he was truthful. Now, David had a lot of flaws, y'all. He did a lot of bad things. But Solomon learned that whole truth piece, the honor, the way he honored God from his father. Mhm. And I wonder if you realize all the people that are around you that are looking at what you say and what you do. So here's the word of advice here. You got to walk the talk. You can't just walk it or talk it. You've got to do both. I hear so many people that don't realize that everything they're doing is an example. So I always say, I'm not some words on a piece of paper. I'm a living, breathing example of what it looks like to fail in your business, what it looks like to trust God in your business, what it looks like to prosper your business, what it looks like to expand your gift. And I'm always transparent. So you got to understand all of that leads to trust. Once you breach trust, it's hard to get it back. Number two, consistency. The one thing, if I had to give you a gift, is when you start down a lane, when you understand what your purpose is, you've got to stay consistent in that lane. What do I mean by that? I see so many people that shift because they say, "Oh, well, I'm not making money yet. It's not working." See, there's a concept called seed time and harvest. The only reason the seed grows, so God planted the seed in you at birth. All God is not going to water that seed called your purpose. He's expecting you to water it. Think about it like this. If you water a seed, and y'all are being quiet in the comments, so at least say, hey, I see more people joining. Listen, the only way a seed is going to grow is if you water the seed. That takes consistency. I don't plant a seed today and think, so I'm going to have flowers tomorrow. So it takes consistent action day over day, week over week, month over month for your business to prosper. Need you to get that. Bible verse here. Think I won't have a Bible verse on each one. Second Thessalonians 3:13. And as for you, brothers and sisters, never tire of doing what is good. I see so many people that give up on their business because they say it's taking too long, or I'm not making money, or whatever that might be. And I'm telling you, it takes consistency. But oftentimes when you're not making money, it might just be that you just need a little needle point shift. Doesn't mean you need to shift your business altogether, do something different. It might mean that you don't understand your methodology, or you don't understand how to speak your value. I'll talk about that next week. So I want you to understand it still takes being consistent. I see so many people that shift their business. They start off and they're career coach, and then all of a sudden they're a sales coach, and then all of a sudden they're an interior decorator. It's like, wait a minute, why do you keep shifting? And every time you shift, you got to start over. It's like every time you plant a seed, you got to start over with the seed time and harvest process. So how do you ever get to a harvest if you don't stick with the one thing and water it? That's that singular focus we talked about a few weeks ago. Okay. Number three, follow through. Now, the thing that's interesting about follow through is not just do what you say you're going to do, you need to do that too. But sometimes, if you're going to go back to trust, you've got to be willing to say, listen, I know I told you I was going to do this, but it's not working out. So I'm going to change it to this. You've got to be honest with the follow through. So don't act like, oh, I'm not going to say anything. She's just not going to notice. No, they notice. So when you're running a business, and things don't happen the way you anticipated them to be or to do. Listen, the one thing that I always remember my grandmother used to always say to me, or was it my auntie? I don't remember. One of them said to me, as a soldier falls on their own sword. That's the honor of a soldier, is that they fall on their own sword. So when you mess up, you confess to the mess up. That's part of follow through. That's part of having integrity. That's part of showing people who you are. I always tell my clients, I never say I will be perfect, but I will be excellent. So let me tell you where we messed up, and let me tell you how we're gonna fix it. And I'm gonna fix it excellently, right? So number one again is trust. Number two is you got to be consistent. Number three is follow through. And even with follow through, it's being a woman of your word, but making sure when that word, because things don't always happen the way we think they're going to happen. Be honest. That's part of follow through as well, so that the person sees that it's not happening the way that they thought. Just like Miss Cleo. I think of Miss Cleo at the beginning when all the stuff was going down. Again, if you haven't seen the documentary, go watch it. I'm trying not to say too much. I think if Miss Cleo would have at the beginning said, listen, I was acting. They hired me as an actor. Instead of trying to play it off at the beginning, it would have been easier for her to get out of all the drama that happened for her. Instead, she stayed in tech, non-integral, is that a word? Place. And therefore, it ruined her entire character. She died pretty much broke because she couldn't get another job, y'all. So number one, trust. Number two, consistency. Number three, follow through. Y'all are quiet in the comments. Either this is good or y'all are taking notes of something. So you know me. I want to hear what y'all thoughts are. Questions, thoughts, comments. Number 4, what value do you bring? Integrity is about value, not for you. The thing I love about King Solomon's example is when God said, "What can I give to you?" He asked for something for everybody else and not even for himself. Lord, help me understand how to discern so that I can make good judgments for your people. That's not even for him. So, my question to you is, are you focused on income or impact? I'm gonna tell you, when you make an impact, income is going to come, just like with Solomon. Again, go read this Bible verse I read to you, 1 Kings 3:5-14. God blessed him with income. Solomon was the wealthiest man alive, known then. But the reason God blessed him with that is because he didn't even ask for it. But here's the thing you got to know: when God gives you a gift, you need money to be able to do it. So when you say focus on the impact, not even influence, dare I say, because listen, there's so many people that want to be Facebook famous. And I see so many people that are Facebook famous and they are broke. And you can't do nothing with no money. So God is always going to give you the resources, but you've got to focus on value, on impact, on whose life are you changing, in what way are you changing it? What value are you adding in this world? Here's an example. Jesus is our ultimate example here. Matthew 25:35-40. And by the way, this is one of my mandated Bible verses. I got quite a few. You've been around me, you know Genesis 1:28 is my big mandate, but this one is my second one, I would say. Jesus is saying this to his disciples: "For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you took me in. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came to me." Then the righteous will answer him, saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you a stranger and take you in, or naked and clothe you? Or when did we see you sick or in prison and come to you?" And the king will answer and say to them, "Assuredly, I say to you, in as much as you did to one of the least of these, my brother, you did it to me." I wonder if you realize that God put us down here to be representatives, kingdom representatives. So are you doing things that are in alignment with the brand called God? Are you doing things out of alignment? So when you're doing things in alignment with God, your purpose is prevailing and you're making an impact. Or you're watering the seed so that your impact is growing. It's probably coming, dare I say, shaking under the ground, ready to come out and be birthed. Many of you, the reason why you're not making the impact that you were born to make is maybe you're not clear on what that impact is, or maybe you're not sure on what that is. And you can't walk around in the dark and find your way. So I want to encourage you, whether it's me or another coach, to get in a program so that you can understand what your purpose is and get clear on it so they can start to make the impact. So that, just as Jesus said, when you fed people or clothed people or help people with their business or help families or whatever it is that you do, you helped me. You're a kingdom ambassador. There's a Bible verse. Where is it? Hold on, y'all. Here it is. 2 Corinthians 5:20, that says, "Now then, we are ambassadors for Christ, as though God were pleading through us. We implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God." Be reconciled. Think about what that means. When you hear be reconciled, what does that mean for you? Be reconciled to God. You know, I have a t-shirt I had on yesterday that says, "I work for God." And my husband said, "Oh, okay, you work for God." I said, "God is my boss." And, we were teasing each other. But I'm clear that everything I do, no, I'm 100%, always great at everything I do. No, I have little moments too where I'm like, "Oh, Lord, I'm sorry." I didn't mean, just like David. God doesn't expect us to be perfect. We're imperfect as long as we're in this flesh. But what he does expect us to do, just as I said, follow through. You might not do everything perfectly, but be honest, have integrity, have conversations with people when you're out of integrity. Okay. Number 5. So let me review real quick. Number 1 was trust. Number 2, consistency. Number 3, follow through. And number 4 is adding value. Your life is all about value. Number 5, commitment to lifelong learning. Listen, you have not arrived. If you were done and there was nothing else for you to learn, if you've been around me, you've heard me say this before, you would already been gone. We would already been to your funeral. Hmm. So I need you to understand that there's always more for you to learn. I talked about this last week. So if you missed last week's episode, go and watch last week's episode where we really looked at how your competitors can teach you valuable lessons. That's about learning and growing. Bible verse here is Philippians 3:12 through 14, one of my favorites. Not that I have already attained, because you haven't, or am ready, perfected, but I press on that I may lay hold of that for which Christ Jesus has laid hold of me. Brethren, I do not count myself to have apprehended. Mind you, he said attained it, then he said apprehended. He both said, I haven't attained it and I haven't apprehended it. Is that interesting? But one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forward to those things which are ahead, I press toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. The thing I think is interesting is where it says, forgetting those things which are behind, the, the degrees you've already had, that's done. Your career, your resume, the 20 years you've spent in your industry, done. That's behind you. Pressing is what's next ahead of you. What's that next big goal? This is what the prayer of Jabez is about, where he's asking God, listen, God, please, I want to do more for you. So how are you moving in the movement of more, of doing more than what you've already done? The stuff that's behind you, done, complete. Your bio resume is over. Done. Not talking about that. Talking about the next version of you that you have not yet become. That's a commitment to lifelong learning. Hmm. Right? And then number six, that was number five. So number one, let me review again, trust. Number two, consistency. Number three, follow through. Number four is value. Number five, commitment to lifelong learning. Again, these are the six principles to build or to operate in integrity, I should say. Six principles, right? Y'all are quiet in the comments. Is this good? Y'all getting some insight? You taking notes? Right? Don't, like my aunt, my grandmother used to say, don't walk in this house and not speak. So y'all at least say, hey girl, hey. So our final step here, final principle is respect. Now let me ask you, when you hear the word respect, what do you think of? When you hear the word respect, what do you think of? What pops in your mind? So for me, what pops in my mind is high esteem for other people. It's honoring who they are and where they are, not where I think they should be or where where the world says they should be. It's honoring them in their journey where they are. I think this is a lost principle. Mhm. One of my big, big, big values is honoring the dignity of the human spirit. It's really trying to meet people where they are without judgment, right? One of the Bible verse here, Luke 6:31, which was one of the first Bible verses I ever learned. This might be one of the first ones you have to do to others as you would have them do to you. Big one. So this is all about you operating in integrity. At the end of the day, when you die and go get to meet the creator face to face, it's all of who you be that God is going to judge there, I'll say. And that all is wrapped up in your integrity. So with that, hey girl, hey Kim, I think that's Kim. I see results one. I think that's you. So with that said, y'all, that's it for this episode. Again, the six principles to operate in integrity in your business, and don't take these for granted. If you came in the middle of this, go back and watch all six. And here's the thing I want you to say. I want you to pick one of the six that you're going to focus on for the next month. Pick one of these six that maybe you need to increase in your business, in your career. One of these six that maybe you've been overlooking or maybe you didn't realize you weren't operating in, right? Hey, Sherry. So definitely take some time and look at where you are in these six. All right. So that's it for this week. We got three more principles, y'all, 8, 9, and 10. So I'll see you next Monday where we will walk through our next principle in the 10 commandments of doing the business the way God intended. Listen, if you have found value, whether you're here live or watching a replay, do me a favor and share it. Share it in with your network. Why? Because there are other people that will gain from the insight here. One, two, you never know, somebody might be praying for this insight and you're sharing it may give them the shift that they need to start or grow their business. All right. So with that said, oh, and the last thing we ask you is always share the one thing you got that was valuable. in this episode. All right. So with that said, y'all, I will see you next Monday. Have a good one. Bye, y'all.